Hi, everyone. Good morning. This is Stephanie from Indiegogo, and I'm calling in from San Francisco. And today we have two guest speakers here. They're Zack and Adam, and they're from Midea, which is Fortune 500 company. And hi, Zack and Adam. Say hi to our audience.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Good. Yeah, thanks. How are you?
Good, good. I can see from your clothes. I think it's getting really cold. Where are you guys based at? Just tell the audience a little bit about where you are and some introduction about yourself.
Sure. So we're at the Medea's North American Research Center in Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
It is getting a little bit chilly, as you can tell from the clothes in the background. And then also, if anybody is wondering what this is, the new normal, we have a barrier between us so that we can take the masks off. So that's just something we have to deal with nowadays, unfortunately.
Yeah, I actually see those set up in some, restaurants when outdoor dinings are still allowed in California, unfortunately, which is, shut down everything again. But, I think those are great inventions.
Yeah. And so just a little bit about me. So, I've been in Midea for a couple of years, a lot of appliance experience prior to Midea. I'm originally from Kentucky, a small town that most people haven't probably heard of. And I live in Louisville now.
Yeah. Keep going.
And married with a daughter. So.
Yeah, similar, married with a daughter, but I'm not originally from Kentucky. My name's Zack. I'm from Michigan originally, came down here and a few years ago, met my wife, and yeah, but similar background, had a lot of experience in appliances and in air conditioning specifically. So yeah, then came and joined Adam at Midea a couple years ago.
Awesome. So as far as I know, you guys are both engineers, right? So you guys are the scientific brain behind this amazing product that's currently fundraising on Indiegogo.
You're giving us a lot of credit there, but yeah, something like that.
There's a lot of other people that would be hard to fit in, this eight feet window that you see here. But yeah, we are two of the many other brains behind this.
Awesome. Can't wait to dig into some questions about the product. And I can see that you just have the product right in front of you. And that's a really cool design because, I personally unboxed it for Indiegogo and I had a great, amazing experience with the product. So let's jump to the product. So tell us a little bit about the shape and the name. So first thing that I really want to confirm with you guys is the pronunciation of the brand, because it's, I said Midea in my unboxing, but I wasn't quite sure actually. So like what's the official pronunciation for that for theme?
That's a good question, even for Midea employees, because if you're on the China team, you have a much different pronunciation. Most people that are in the North American appliances industry have always called it Midea. If you're international, but still English speaking, a lot of places still call it Midea. I think technically it's supposed to be Midea, but most people just call it Midea. So we're probably even saying it wrong to most people watching online right now.
And then for most people in North America, when we do research events, they think Tyler Perry movies. And so they say, oh, like Midea goes to jail. It's like, well, kind of, sure, we'll roll with it.
Yeah, so. Midea makes the dehumidifier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I would just keep it that way. I would just say Midea because I've been pronouncing Midea personally. So I guess, it doesn't upset anybody in the room, especially you guys who work for the company.
Yeah, you're not going to offend. We spell check a lot of times often calls it Midea anyway. So.
I see. Interesting. So the cube, I can tell it's a cube shape, very obviously. Is that where the name comes from?
It is. Yeah. That's kind of the idea. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why it's a cube. Some of it was engineering or manufacturing reasons. It made a lot of sense.
But, tell us about it. I'm all ears.
I mean, certain things like of some of the different shapes that you look at, a cube is a pretty efficient shape from a packaging perspective. You start getting into round shapes and you might have problems with manufacturing coils or even just wasted space in packaging. So there are a lot of reasons that it's a cube, and especially with what we tried to do with nesting the functioning part of the unit inside the tank, this shape just made a lot of sense.
Right. And it's very compact and it's easy to install because when I was unboxing it, you literally, it comes as a box and unbox it and you literally just lift it up and then stow it and it's ready. And it has the main machine at the top. And also, do you mind actually just demonstrate it a little bit to the audience?
Sure. So
yeah, and then I think there's a water tank in the
yeah.
at the bottom.
So this is what we would call like the storage mode. And so it stores in about half the size volumetrically and a little bit, almost around half the height of a normal traditional unit. So this is kind of the benefit. This is the size of the package, but it has the ability to dehumidify as much or more than traditional dehumidifiers. So to get the unit into a traditional shape or bucket mode, you just lift it and rotate the functional part of the unit. And now you have what you would be more accustomed to seeing all at the same time. If I then take this off, you see that this bucket is a lot bigger than your traditional unit. So, and then so now that would be like emptying the bucket and then you can just place the unit back on. And
Voila.
You have to do that a whole lot less frequently because the bucket's a lot bigger. So that's one of the main advantages of this product.
Yeah, one thing I also want to point out that I really like about the design is that you actually have the tube that you can connect to the water tank. So as someone as myself, I'm just not able to lift big stuff, and it's just super convenient. Like I don't need to move the dehumidifier around the house up and down. I just need to try to take drain the water from the tube.
Yeah, that's another big advantage of this. Like I showed, when you take the product off the bucket, if you are somebody with a floor drain, this is all you need, right? You connect a hose to the back, either your garden hose or the hose that we're providing in the package, and you can connect it straight to a floor drain. And so you don't even need this part, and you're much more compact design than what's available today.
Amazing. Another question I have is, I know why people need a dehumidifier, but some audience, they probably do not. So I'm wondering if you don't mind walking us through what were some scenarios that people would benefit from having a dehumidifier at home?
Sure. So really any environment that is kind of damp or humid would benefit from a dehumidifier. Oftentimes we see, from our research, a vast majority of people usually have basements, finished or unfinished, and maybe it's a little bit musty in the basement, or it's just uncomfortable. You don't necessarily have to have a basement. So those are the most common scenarios. But one thing that specifically this campaign has taught us so far of some of the international aspects, since we primarily only deal with North America, is that some other countries use dehumidifiers to help dry their clothes, and that's something that might not be as common to most Americans or even North Americans as far as a common use scenario. But that's a very powerful marketing message that I guess resonates with a lot of our international users.
Interesting. I think especially for here we're in the United States, and I know that you guys also have customers in Europe, around the world. Basically, there's so many areas that they do have this condition that they really need a dehumidifier at home just for general health and asthma and allergy. As someone who has young children myself, that's why I feel like we can definitely benefit from it. So yeah, thank you for walking us through that. Since you guys are like I said, the scientific brand behind a product, I really want to ask you a few questions, like what type of challenges that you guys encounter when you're in the design process. And I'm also wondering what type of consumer insights that actually you guys got through this whole process that benefits from that benefit you from building the final the product.
So one of the first kind of probably big design challenges when you look at traditional dehumidifiers and then see what we've done here is just the space constraint. Mm-hmm. Trying to fit a system that does the same thing in this smaller cube package. In some ways, because we changed the form factor, you're just moving components, but the airflow is significantly different. And in some ways we benefited from that just by being able to space the coil out more, and it being able to pull air in on 3 sides. That's another benefit that this design inherently has. But being able to fit all of the functional parts of the system inside of this package was probably one of the big ones. Another one, and you're speaking right to my wheelhouse when you say consumer insights. My job primarily is consumer research. And so part of that was taking some early concepts of this product and being able to test it with focus groups of consumers. And so when we showed them the size of the bucket and how the product would come out of the bucket and sit on top, and just some of the different form factors that we could do, one of the things that we really refined were the handles. So we showed a bunch of different kinds of handles, whether it was on the bucket or on the unit itself, that consumers gave us feedback on what they liked, what they didn't like. And I think what we really came out with as far as the handle design and the shape and the appearance and the UI were all really brought about by us showing a bunch of concepts to consumers and them weighing in on those specific features, so that we could put our best foot forward with this new product.
Well, what was really interesting or funny about that research event, so if you go back and if we were able to show you pictures or video of that, we actually had a room and we were behind one-way glass, and we had consumers filling up different levels of buckets with water and carrying them across this room and dumping them, and really interacting with various handle designs. And so it was really kind of comical, since these weren't dehumidifier buckets at all. They were just any buckets that we could find that had different style handles. And so that was really interesting. But also some of the feedback that we got from that, kind of going into some of the design criteria, was that the largest dehumidifier that we have as a cube holds over 4 gallons of water in the bucket, and that not a lot of people, or some people, might not want to be able to carry that much. And so we needed to have different tiers of what was considered a full bucket. And so that if you don't want to carry 4.2 gallons of water, and maybe you only want to do 1 gallon or 2 gallons. And so we came up with a really innovative way to have water level measurement, and so that you can change the settings on your cube so that it might shut off after those different fill levels of 1, 2, 3, or 4.
I absolutely love that, because like a full bucket of water in my husband's mind would be completely different than mine. So I think being able to customize the water level, define what's a full bucket, it's a fantastic feature. And it's great to know that it's actually come from consumer insight, because as a consumer myself, I think that's one of my insights that I can share as well. And it's so great. As I introduced to the audience, Midea, it's a Fortune 500 company. Some people might ask, wait, why crowdfunding? Tell us a little bit about your crowdfunding journey, why Midea decided to do a crowdfunding campaign. And this is the second one. The first one was successfully done. So if you guys don't mind, tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Like you alluded to, Stephanie, the first campaign that we did was around a window air conditioner. And, I think for us, the idea is to push the envelope on some of these traditional products that in our space of room air conditioning that look like they've been untouched. Maybe they got some lipstick with some new paint, or, they've all got Wi-Fi now, but really stepping back and saying, what can we do to really innovate in this space? And that's why it's so important to try things like, crowdfunding, even for a large company like us, to really get involved with the consumers. Even if you look back at like our last campaign with the U, we still, even this week, have been getting feedback from users on the app and other things as they've gone and taken the product out. And we've been able to step in and help address those issues. We have a community of people that are helping us, make improvements on the app. And that's why the crowdfunding campaign and the social community is just worth its weight in gold to us, because now we have thousands of people that are giving us feedback by generating, by initiating that conversation through crowdfunding.
Awesome. So I guess you guys are also getting a lot of feedback for the Cube right now, since the campaign is currently running.
Yeah, we're starting to. We're engaging with customers online and answering questions and getting their ideas and a lot of that stuff. We haven't really gotten into, since the products haven't shipped yet, we haven't gotten to the next phase, which is, they've already got the units and they're getting feedback. This is more like questions, ideas that they have. And it also helps us anticipate what other questions we might get when the campaign gets even larger, when the unit starts shipping, because the questions that you get at the lower level at the beginning, could end up being a lot more questions later. So it helps us put together any sort of materials that might help answer questions or educate consumers, if that's marketing materials or after sales type of training, those sorts of things.
Interesting. So if I just try to make an example here. So for example, if you see some questions from, because right now you guys haven't shipped a product yet, but you see all this question about specific things, then probably the consumer is going to see those questions in the menu, or you're going to see it will be demonstrated in the way that they're confused about. I guess that would be the process, right?
Yeah, exactly. And just to use a very recent example, some questions that you had about your unboxing experience, we had already kind of anticipated that, and we're getting ready to shoot what we're calling an operational video of kind of how to use it and what steps you need to go through, since it is such a unique design compared to traditional dehumidifiers. So all of that feedback we're kind of rolling into the script, if you will, of the operational video that we're going to be shooting next month.
Wow, that's amazing. And I also just dig into it a little bit. So you guys probably also get a lot of specific insights from your previous campaign. Do you mind sharing one or two, if there's any that you think it's interesting?
Yeah, from the previous campaign, I mean, I would say a lot of it, for us, it was the first foray into that much customer communication or consumer communication, right? So I think some of the cool things, and we don't want to talk about them too much here, but is when customers come up with ideas that get us as an engineering team thinking about future products. And so, so I think that was kind of the cool thing, is you now get 2,000 people, 3,000 people that are looking at your product, and that then send you an email, write a message on Indiegogo, and then tell you kind of what their thoughts are with the product.
And also maybe to, sorry to interrupt, but to kind of to piggyback on that, also, we got feedback, kind of what I mentioned before about the second step. Once they got the product, they were sending us pictures of their installations, their applications, because one of the big research challenges with that was it was so dependent on various window styles and dimensions and configurations for the window air conditioner. And so we saw their challenges, their feedback, and we listened to all of that, and that allowed us to make product improvements during the off season. And that product, the next iteration of that's coming out in summer of 2021 is going to have a lot of that feedback taken into consideration for the product improvements. So hopefully, if you buy that product next summer, you're going to see, kind of year two improvements. And we would expect to do the same with the Cube, where after, throughout this campaign, once we get feedback on what people like or don't like, or what might not work ideally, or what's not easy to understand, we're going to roll that into, if it is better training or product changes or whatever, for the future years. And so that this would kind of follow suit.
Yeah, you actually hit a point. Like that's the power of Indiegogo's community, and that's why backer actually, they keep coming back to our community to support all these crowdfunding campaigns, because you really want to be part of the journey. They started with supporting the campaign, and they provide feedback, and then you guys get the insights, and you guys make changes and adapt to those feedbacks. And this is just like the whole journey. About crowdfunding.
And one thing that the previous campaign kind of showed us related to that was that the Indiegogo consumers and customers are a little bit different in a good way from normal customers, because they're much more engaged and emotionally tied, if you will, to the product and the development process, and wanting to give the feedback and stuff. Whereas normal people who might go to any other retail outlet might not have the same level of engagement or excitement, or want to give the feedback, or just try to communicate with the manufacturer that much. So that's been really helpful for us, and it was part of our educational process going through the previous campaign too.
Right, and the good thing for the backer, they're actually getting early bird price. So the price it's really nice for them to have the product early. Okay, I have a very tough question for you guys. So I know you guys are the engineers behind these amazing products, because I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs or designers, engineers. They usually see the products as their children, as their babies, right? So everything about the product is perfect. It's really hard to pick like the best features, the greatest, from the product that you made. So the tough question is, what are the top 3 features that you personally like about the Midea Cube?
Well, first off, I might be different from most engineers. I don't think that I've ever designed a perfect product. So I always look at stuff and I see the tests that failed or the challenges that I had to overcome. And so maybe
I have. He's speaking for himself.
Maybe I'm the pessimist. Maybe he's the optimist, I'm the pessimist. So we'll see. But no, I think the features that are going to resonate on the Cube, one of the pain points that we saw in our research was people had a misconception about a dehumidifier where they thought that a 50-pint dehumidifier or a 20-pint dehumidifier meant that the bucket size or the tank size was the 20 pints or the 50 pints. And that is absolutely not true. The size of the dehumidifier is the rate that it can dehumidify per day, not indicative of the tank size at all. And so a lot of people were surprised to say, oh, I bought a 50-pint dehumidifier, but I still had to empty the tank every single day or twice a day in some cases. And so we heard that feedback and we tried to incorporate the much larger bucket. And so we think that, for those people who complained about how often or how frequent they had to empty the bucket, now it should be, 1/3 the amount of time in some cases. And so, so I think that's going to be the feature that's going to be the most obvious. And the other thing is that the Cube is absolutely, it's a smart dehumidifier relative to the traditional dehumidifier. So it has Wi-Fi, it has push notifications on the app to tell you when it's going to be, when it's full. It has a predictive algorithm on the app to tell you a theoretical range of when it's going to be full based on the conditions in the room and the humidity. And so I think the real tech savvy users that tend to be Indiegogo consumers are going to really appreciate some of those smart features that are incorporated in. And something else that was kind of a surprise benefit that we didn't really see until we started getting our hands on actual samples of our design rather than just concepts was that it's so much easier to carry around. If you've ever carried a traditional dehumidifier, most of them have what we call pocket handles on the side, and they're really tall. So if you're not the tallest guy in the room like me, it's kind of really awkward because you're kind of carrying from chest level. But this, when it's nested, especially, it carries like a heavier bucket, and it's much easier with the handles. And so that's one thing that, it's a small benefit, but still, if you have to lug your dehumidifier around very much, it's going to be pretty obvious.
I see. So these are your top three.
Those are my top three.
Yeah.
So
for me, I kind of like we talked about earlier, I have a floor drain at my house. So when I take this unit home, I often connect it to the hose if I'm not running some other test, because we are running tests at our houses right now with these products. But I connect it to the floor drain using a hose. And so this is all I have sitting in my basement, which is great. And so that's probably my favorite part because of my usage case. So that's where we'll see people who use the bucket or who just need it on a floor drain. That's kind of why this unit is sort of a one size fits all that we think gives you the best of both worlds. So that's probably my favorite. And then kind of along with that, compact storage, being able to, if you are storing it in the kind of nested or storage mode, I think those are two really cool features. And then even going back to the bucket size, in some of the consumer testing we did, what we saw people saying is how it's so much easier to pour out of a bucket than it is out of the traditional oddly shaped, buckets or tanks that people have in traditional dehumidifiers today. And I think this really solves that problem. So along with bucket size would be kind of the shape of it being more traditional.
Yeah, and I think just add on that one thing that I noticed that you guys didn't mention it in your top three, but that's definitely my top three. It's that it's connected to your phone. So you have an app that it's just fantastic. Think about if you put it in your basement, if you're using a traditional one that you have to go downstairs and reset, clean it, whatever, change the setting. But right now you literally can just stay in your bedroom. You don't need to move and just control everything from your phone. Like that's my, I would say that's my top three, one of the top threes.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of that feedback in our research when we were asking people how often they emptied their dehumidifiers. It wasn't on a set schedule. A lot of times, we asked them like, how long had it been full before you emptied it? And a lot of consumers didn't know. It could have been full for 1 week, 2 weeks, a month. It's just kind of, oh, I noticed it wasn't running, so I emptied it. And so, the app side and the Wi-Fi connection and the notifications are going to solve that problem for the consumers.
Just a couple nights ago, I was testing it with the bucket and I was getting ready to go to bed and it sent me a notification on my phone and said, oh, you need to empty your bucket. Well, so you can go downstairs and empty it, and then your unit is running longer and it's more useful. The longer, like Adam says, that it sits with a full bucket, it's not doing its job.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's also why, like I said, I really like, and I'm also wondering about the whole testing thing, about you doing all the testing at home. A little bit questions about yourself, about both of you, everyone, you know, not about the cube. So we're all working from home. I know you guys right now are in the office, but you know, a lot of people are still working from home because of the pandemic. And you guys are the two brains, very smart, working for this amazing product. So what's the new norm, you know, being at home all the time for you guys? Any tips that you want to share, how you guys have been working productively from home? I know that you're running tests in your home, and I don't mind hearing more about that.
That's a good question. And, you know, to be honest, I think even though we're, you know, 9 or 10 months into this, that from a personal standpoint, I'm still trying to adjust. You know, we have there's a lot more people on the air conditioning team here in the R&D office.
So they have to go in, right? Like the R&D people, they have to go into because it's a lab. And
I mean, if we're testing something like this and we can't take it home, yeah, we can do that. Ours is more of an issue, specifically with the cube. We did the test that we needed to in the office, or that we had to do in the office, but dehumidifier tests, especially over time, take such a long time to get to a full bucket. You might not be able to do that in an 8 or 9 hour workday. So that's why we were taking those home, where we could, yeah, especially this is over Thanksgiving. So then we could run it all through the long weekend while we were, you know, at home for the holidays and stuff. And so, you know, that was one of the reasons why we did that. But from a new normal, we're usually in the office a couple of days a week. We're still on limited capacity based on our guidelines. And so we just kind of schedule in the office as needed, depending on what we have to do. And so obviously we're in the office today. Some folks on our team are at home. Some people are back in the lab as we speak doing stuff. And then tomorrow it'll be kind of reset and everybody will do their own thing again.
Yeah. I think, you know, from a personal standpoint, I mean, I kind of look at a couple different things, because I, like Adam, have a 3-year-old daughter at home. And yeah, she's kind of has been in and out of daycare as things have opened up and shut down and whatever. But I think one thing that's worked for me is something that I like that they taught us in college, like during orientation, is they said, you know, try not to study so much in your room. Define spaces that are meant for sleep and spaces that are meant for things. So as best you can, if I'm watching my daughter and I'm sitting at the kitchen table, it communicates to everybody that I'm trying to work, right? But then when I'm away from the table or not in our office, then that communicates Dad's not working. I think so. Some of those things, trying to define boundaries even in your own home, has helped. One of our coworkers, the industrial designer Wyman on this project, his idea, he's actually worked from home in previous previous employment, but his idea was, he said, it never felt like I was working until I put my shoes on. And so even from working at home, he puts his shoes on, and that's how he knows the day started. So whether for you it's defining a space or putting your shoes on and that being the trigger that communicates work time, I don't know. So
if I ever see Wyman in the office with his shoes off, we know he's not working.
You know, he's relaxing. Don't tell me I'm relaxing. Oh, those are wonderful suggestions. And I think that's why we really appreciate the product. You know, even during COVID, you guys, your team, are still working so hard to improve this product, doing testings and, you know, helping consumers and backers to have a better experience, eventually have a better product. So we're really happy to see that, and we really appreciate it. As you know, I'm just saying it on behalf of myself as a consumer. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so today, this is a fantastic discussion. I'm really happy that we got you guys here. We can do this live together to talk about the Midea Cube, which is currently fundraising on Indiegogo. So if you're watching this live right now, go follow Midea Global and back and support this product now, because you can still get a really good price as the early backers. I guess if you're interested in it, go watch my unboxing video. I'm self-promoting. This is my first ever unboxing video. And thank you again, Zach and Adam, for coming today to do this live with me.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
And happy holidays. I guess it's not too early to say that. And hope you guys have a wonderful, the rest of your week.
Yep.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
You too.
You too.
And
all right, bye.
Bye.
Bye.